Hello. So welcome today to a chance to have a chat with us about one of our most important topics that has been a subject of about 50% of our questions recently on the call for proposals 2022. This is the Regional Innovation Scheme and how we will work together between the Regional Innovation Scheme and the Innovation Programme. My name is Gareth McNaughton and I will be leading today's meeting. We will also be bringing in our own RIS director, Bense. Bense Haba, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, if I find the unmute button. Thank you very much. Welcome everybody. I'm very happy that the interest is so high for the RIS, and we try to answer all your questions today.
Great. Okay, so what we'll be doing today, we're going to just go through the agenda. We will give 3 separate times for questions to be asked. But if we go to the next slide. The next slide. There you go. Okay, so the agenda for today. We are going to do something quite important. So you do know that there is a call for innovation and there is a possibility for integration of RIS partners in the innovation call. That's what we're going to call Stream 1, where RIS partners are going into the innovation program. Stream 2 is the RIS call itself and how you can do activity within the RIS call. Okay, so both of these calls have their own call document. And people have been calling up asking about how those 2 documents work together, what one is the master document, etc. And we want to explain that. So today, to help you, what we're going to be presenting is the general requirements initially. As you can see, the general requirements, eligibility, proposal duration, challenge areas, KPIs, this is common between both of our groups, but between Stream 1, innovation, and Stream 2, specific risks. After which, we will have deep dives, and I will do an overview of the innovation call and the opportunities for RIS activity within the innovation call. Some people have called this the integrated innovation of RIS. And then I'll answer some questions. Then we will have a presentation for Bense, when Bense will talk specifically about the innovation within the call of RIS and what the criteria are, the budget, the twinning word, how it works, and what conditions might need to be met that are different there. Then he will be able to give you some Q&A. Importantly, you choose, based on your existing discussions and partner, what model is most suitable for you. We will not tell you. You need to listen today and find out which one of these streams, Stream 1 or Stream 2, is the best for your proposal. Okay, so that's what we're aiming to do today. Next slide. So, as we said, Stream 1, innovation call, Stream 2, risk call. And as we said, this is the agenda, so we can get the commonality between them, and then we do the 2 streams. Now, as we move on today, please note down your questions in the stream section so you can answer them. We can answer and ask them at the end, okay? But of course, we'll close up with a final Q&A, opinion, and we'll consider what is the most effective. Importantly, background of this. Next slide. Okay, so we have a strategic focus, and this is common for us, that we are to resolve the challenges, we have to improve citizens' lives, put innovative testing into the real life world. And these are very issue development has been going on across all our organization with all of the hubs, with our city partners, with the industry partners. And this has led to this year 4 challenge areas. These are active mobility, sustainable city logistics, mobility energy, and future mobility. This is common. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're deciding. So this is the common area. The next slide, please. Eligibility is going to be the same. You know, we've got the same tier 1 partners, tier 2 partners, project partners that come in. And it looks like there's going to be on the project partners, we've had many questions on percentages and costs, etc. It looks that this is likely to be a fixed fee, which we're hoping that will be updated quite soon. Other entities that we've talked about, there's affiliated entities. These affiliated entities were what was previously called linked third parties, LTPs, but now these are affiliated entities which are fully owned or under the direction of existing partners. They have links to core partners that are legally defined, and they are part of that. For all intents and purposes, they are part of that core partner. Now, from here on in, the linked third parties is no longer there. We don't talk about that. We use the word affiliated. So if we use third parties now, don't get confused. Third parties now mean contractors, subcontractors, in-kind contributors. They're not directly parts of the call. So don't get confused between the old term linked third parties and now we talk about third parties. Okay, so make sure you understand that. Next slide. Technology readiness level. As we said, when we talk about the innovation call and the risk call, we are still on technology readiness level 6. Okay, so we're still looking for solution services and products. And please keep that in mind. That's the same across what we do. Okay, whether it's innovation or it's risk innovation, it's the same TRL level. Next slide. Challenge areas, I'm not going to bother you with this. You've read these before, you know them. They're there for your reference later on in the video. Okay, next slide. Now, this is the thing that we all have to do. So if you have a project, you do have to provide KPIs. Importantly, in innovation, they are mandatory, which is marketed innovation or a startup created. But we're also asking that you ensure that you have 3 cities engaged. And so these are important. These are mandatory for this year. Now, the next KPIs, while they're mandatory, you know, we've got these ones for innovation. We need to consider the next slide. And the next slide is if you choose either to go for full risk twinning projects, stream 2, or integrated risk innovation, stream 1, you will still have to have a risk KPI. And these are some examples here. Okay, so if we're going to be drawing down from the bucket of money that's been allocated for risk, you can't get that money for free in the sense of you have to deliver a KPI. Okay, so these are the numbers you would need to use. And importantly, we'll explain some of the management behind, but we have a way of tracking this. But whether you go for stream 1 or stream 2, your project should include some of these, okay, to be able to justify the drawing down of that cash. The next slide. Innovation. Okay, so we have gone through the commonalities. It's the top level stuff. Now let's get into the detail of the innovation call. And this is what we're calling stream 1. So let's all remember that when we talk, stream 1. So the background is we've had a lot of discussion, both within our organization, but also in Parliament and Council in the EU, on how we ensure that there's greater integration of all partners within the programme. And this is why the RIS programme was set up. We're supposed to be fostering collaboration between RIS and non-RIS to enhance our European capacity. We're supposed to be targeting what is called untapped customers. Okay, so people within RIS countries who to date have not been part of our program. That's an important element of what we're doing today. And then we're supposed to ensure the geographical balance is better. Okay, you know, we want to have pan-European projects with every country involved in it. And to date, we've not been very good. Okay, so now within the New Horizon Europe program, we are expecting 10% of the EIT money given to us to be spent on RIS. That's our target, and we have to be able to document that. We want solutions scalable across Europe, and we want to increase activities. Importantly, when we say we want to increase activities, the key word for us is integration, active integration. You know, sometimes when you keep things separate, they go away in their own direction. We're not trying to make a separate club of RIS. We're trying to bring them in and support it. So we always have to remember that's the objective. So how is this RIS integration going to be supported in the innovation call for proposals 2022, sorry. We're going to make single evaluation evaluated once within stream 1. Okay, so you should have one application form that you can put in with your RIS partners, and that goes into the innovation call. And whatever is necessary to manage the different buckets, we will deal with for you. Okay, so it would go from a single application. We are trying to make these financial incentives to overcome budget limitations. So for example, I apologize, I think there's a little bit of noise. I'm sorry, are you hearing noise on this? I'll just check if Emma.
We can just hear a little bit, but it's still
okay.
clear, Gareth.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. I just didn't want this to become a problem. I could ask the neighbors to stop working. Financial incentives. So we're trying to make it easier to have a RIS integration. What we found last year is asking people to come in a little bit later on and jump into an existing project. It sort of was like a spare leg, okay? And it didn't perhaps serve well. So now we're looking for the single application at the same time in the middle of the proposal with a real role. The geographic balance that we're talking about is quite important here. Okay, so we want active roles. We don't want participatory activity. So we don't want, oh, I'm going to bring in a city from the east. I'll give them €3,000 and that's their inclusion. Okay, and finally, we want an operational management workaround. So you shouldn't know or have to know all the weird rules and regulations to draw down and how we can get around it. We will explain superficially later on, but you leave it to us. You do one application, single, and we evaluate, and then we'll handle internally how that's managed. Okay? So next slide. Right. So in the normal call for proposals for innovation, the partner composition has to be comprised of a city. So we're talking 3 cities have to be included, 2 partners from member states or associate countries. Industry, we expect 2 industry partners, and they should be engaged in the proposal, leading the work. So we want the industry partners to be actively there. And we've also stated 1 SME should be involved, and that SME may also be one of the industrial partners, okay? So it's not duplication of the industrial partners. Importantly for this year, you know, lead applicants should only be experienced project partners or core partners, people who've participated in the programs that knows all of our rules, behaviors, reporting structures. This year, as we're moving between Horizon Europe, H2020 Horizon Europe, it's a little complicated. There's lots of changes. So we're going to restrict it a little bit for your good. Finally, it's expected as we do this that there will be more full integration. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this is very important. I am just, okay, are we sure that the noise is okay? Can I check?
I believe it's fine.
Okay, okay, just from this side, it's quite worrying. Okay, right, fine. So we have some questions now, and I think it might be, this is so complex, I think we should try and answer them now. So the first question is, what are success stories in RIS KPIs? Okay, so this is something that was chosen quite randomly last year to be a success story, whether it's a normal success story or a RIS success story. There's a specific standard set and format that is quite restrictive, okay? So be careful when you choose that. When you look into the KPI list, there's an explanation of what is required for a success story. So don't just say, oh, we did something in the RIS countries, that's a success story. There's an actual template and format that has to be submitted. So please read the KPIs and understand what that means before you just select it, okay? Question, marketed innovation and designed and tested innovation. Okay, no. So the question is, we have given a mandatory, which is marketed innovation. Marketed innovation means that you take a product, solution, or service and you launch it on the market, okay? The EIT H011, designed and tested innovation, it's not the same thing. Designed and tested means you've taken it 70% of the way. You've put it in full testing, okay? it's almost like a safety valve that, say something were to happen in your project and you didn't get to the marketed innovation, you would at least have a marker to say we got 70% of the way to be able to back up your costs and why you should be supported. Okay. Many of our partners felt that suddenly just having to go straight to marketed innovation launched without any midway mark was a little bit dangerous to them. And that's why we created the designed and tested this year. So please, if you're going to end up with a marketed innovation, put in designed and tested as well, just so that it's that checkpoint along the way. Okay. So the one that is a mandatory is either the marketed innovation or the KPI, which allows you to set up a scale up small startup. That's the two mandatory. So designed and tested, the EIT H01.1 designed and tested isn't mandatory. You don't have to. You're not going to be, if you don't put it in, you're not going to be kicked out. But it does help you, so please consider using it. Question. In there's the RIS innovation calls guideline. Okay, that I'm seeing this question is more related.
Yes, so if I can jump in.
Sure.
So the question is that there is internal rule that the RIS stakeholders, the non-partner new RIS stakeholders should at least have 70% of the budget in the RIS projects. So we would like to prefer the new stakeholders in the RIS project. But there could be a justification that they need some core partners. Because of that, until the border of 30% budget, it's allowed to involve also partners, core partners or project partners. The question is that if these core partners are coming from rich countries, where they score or where they are included, where they have to be accommodated. So they have to be accommodated by the 30%, because if you are already a core partner, it means that you are already connected to the community. And of course, what we are calling RIS stakeholders are not just the identification that you are coming from RIS countries, but you are somebody who are not connected until now. And because of that,
Bensa, I think that this is a very important question, but I think it is about the RIS call itself. So maybe we should leave that. I will only be answering the questions on stream 1, okay? Because I'm aware that there's lots of questions from our audience members, but we have to ensure that the stream 1 and stream 2 are seen. Your choice. After you hear today, you decide which avenue you go. Okay, so for the RIS qualifications generally in stream 1, you would have to be a RIS partner, not a core partner. Okay, so when it comes to that, we also have the basic idea that Spain and Czechia, for the purposes of innovation, are not RIS countries. Okay, so that's quite an important one, you know. And other KICs, you do have these countries that are classed as RIS, but for our program, because we have innovation hubs in both locations and we spend lots of money with partners there, they are not for the innovation call. Also, please pay attention. There's an updated list of associate countries. You know, if we look below, EU member states, which are RIS, are listed quite clearly, and the Horizon Europe associate countries, it's a reduced list from last year. Okay, so please pay attention to that list and be careful, because some of your discussions might have started based on last year's agreements or the previous program. And right now we're looking at Macedonia, Montenegro, Serbia, Turkey, and Ukraine. Okay, so Bensa, yeah.
Yeah, can I jump? So I think that it's a very recent change because of the Horizon Europe. And it was not really foreseen, and because of that we don't know it before the publication of the call. So also in our call is published that Armenia, Albania, Bosnia, Montenegro, Faroe Island, Georgia and Moldova are part of the RIS, but we have to update in the next days our call. So be aware that these 6 countries are not anymore in Horizon Europe included in the RIS. So we will update our list, but most recent is what Gareth is presenting now to you.
Okay, thank you on that. So next slide. City demonstrations. Now, we in innovation stream 1, there will be 3 cities that have to demonstrate in the program, okay? And 2 member states as a requirement, so you can have 2 cities in one country and a third, or you can have 3 different cities, okay? Importantly, when you do that, we've had many people asking about the living lab and the city, and are they different, are they the same? For us, a city is a city. Whatever the city base has and whatever they commit, you will be justifying on tab 3, where there are 3 questions per city, what they're offering, what the resources are, the size of the demonstration, who's facilitating that, what the location is, and if there's any additional resources. So please don't worry. The city, as far as we're concerned, is wide. It's a district or a neighborhood or a zone. It can be a city represented by a government entity. For example, you might have the transportation division of the city of Lyon. They would be classed as a city organization, not the city itself. And you could have an urban conurbation, an urban area such as the Metropole of Strasbourg or Greater Berlin or something like that. So, you know, it's quite wide, the definition of city. Living labs, user-centered open innovation. There's an organization in Europe for smart city living labs, and these are, it would be nice if you could refer to them and show that there's some integration, but the core of the document says a city. And if the city has a living lab, that's great. If not, the demonstrations that we'll be doing will be creating a living lab, okay? But so it's the cities have to be there. So for the innovation call, stream 1, 3 cities, okay? The next slide. Budget, okay, the budget stays the same. Now, this is the big question we've had, okay? So you understand, the money that we're looking for on the stream 1 integration will be in addition to what we've put here, okay? So for example, if you were to do a sustainable city logistics proposal, there are 2 proposals around 900,000, and you brought in Warsaw, a community logistics solution with electric bikes, and they were going to be a RIS partner. So you might turn around and put a budget for them in your plan of 60,000 euro. Okay, now that would be put into your normal actual plan. And on tab 3, you would identify where it says, please identify the RIS partners, their budget and their functions. And it will highlight to us that you have a RIS partner, you've done the work, you know they're there. So when you make your application, you might go above this 950 because we're actually going to take that 60,000 off. So you may end up doing an application of 1 million, okay? But because you have a RIS partner, you can justify why you've gone over the guidance. So please be aware of that, okay? So it's on top of the budget that we have got in the last column here, okay? So say you had 2 RIS partners in future mobility, and one had 20,000 and one had 40,000, you know, again, put them in, highlight it, and we will deal with that and we will see that apart, okay? So importantly, co-funding for innovation itself is 30%. We're going to look at the little question next on co-funding for RIS. Next slide. Okay, so we're setting a budget of around 600,000, okay? That's that additional money that can be drawn down on, okay? We would ask you, we know that people have said, oh, we can officially, according to the rule base, we can get 500,000. No. Remember what we said in the initial chart? One of our objectives is to increase the participation of new organizations, innovations that are small and innovative within the program from RIS. So our target is that you only allocate 60 to 80K, that should be what you're doing, because we want to have 8 to 10 new risk partners integrated in projects. We don't want one risk partner to come along and make a claim for 400,000. Okay, we want multiple partners involved, integrated in programs and building that community. So please keep that in mind. Now, risk co-funding in stream 1. The guidance is, and its suggested co-funding rate for risk is 20%. Okay, so this will be evaluated, and we will inform all of our evaluators that when the figures on the finance are given, the 30% is what's required. But since you're going to have some difference for the risk partner, there will be some variance there, and that will not be a basis for exclusion. It will only be noted because you will have highlighted in tab 3 where you have your detailed information on your risk partner, and that makes sure that we know that actually when we take out the risk partners, you still meet the 30%, but the 20% will be for them. Okay, so it's a little bit complicated, but we're training our evaluators to be aware of any risks. Stream 1 integration, the numbers will be a little bit higher and the percentages may be a little bit wrong while we put those people in, and it'll be dealt with in the final stage. Okay, so that one is a little bit dodgy, but it's a pilot to see whether we can fully integrate stream 1 proposals. So be aware of that. The next slide. The application form. So the most important thing is, how do we know that you're a RIS integration stream 1? Under tab 3, there's specific info, and that specific info field will ask you to identify your RIS partner. You have to make sure the details that they are able to be called a RIS partner and it's approved. So you need to check with Bensa and with the headquarters before, or with your local hub to help you. Demonstrate how they meet the qualification criteria, how they would use the money, and how it's the work that they do is core for that partner and what they're doing for the whole project and for themselves. So you have to outline what they'll be doing and the budget totals, etc. Please keep that there. But then when you go to tab 5, budget, you're also going to have to enter the risk partner and their budget as normal. And make sure you have an activity description when you've got that risk partner so we know what they're involved in. In the justification tables, for example, if you put an FTE numbers in, you're also asked, what is your justification below? That's where you would put your justification, say risk partner justification, FTE costs 25,000, 10,000 test goods and services, and you'd be able to put that. So we'll be able to reference that information and know what the total value is. So we don't penalize anybody for going over the threshold or for having a little bit of their percentage, 30% co-fund wrong. Okay, so please make sure you use tab 3 and tab 5 to identify your risk partners and their costs. Now, questions we've had. So the limit for risk partners or co-funding is only up to 20%, but this will influence the total average, which must still be over 30%. Correct? Yes. Okay. It is going to influence in your initial application. As I said, the numbers may be over the threshold and the percentage of 30 might be a little bit wrong. That's absolutely fine, because you will have highlighted the case and we will explain how we will deal with this operationally, okay? But as you apply, the figures you may end up with a figure which is below the 30%, okay, because of the risk partners only got to do the 20%, okay? So there should be no other reason why you're below 30%. When we do the numbers, the only reason you should come below 30% is because of the risk partner number. If you're below for any other reason, then you're not compliant. Okay. Question again. In terms of co-funding for stream 1, if the consortium is composed of non-RIS and risk partners, if the risk partners apply the 20% co-funding, then does the non-RIS partner have to compensate? No. You don't have to compensate, because we're going to explain to you how operationally we will deal with this. And we're going to now explain to you, this is the application process. Now we have to jump through hoops to make stream 1 work, because we're working with rules, tools, and budget divisions, which we can't really play with. So we are what's the word? We're having to do a workaround in what we're doing right now to get around the structures. Okay, we're going to explain just so you'll know what we'll be doing to manage it now. Okay, next slide. So communication of results. So what will happen is, say you have a normal innovation project that you put in and you've got 2 RIS partners in it. If you are selected, and you will receive communication, and it's an evaluation letter, which everyone gets, and you will have a single evaluation report sent to you. And that will be normally in the beginning of July. If you're selected for funding, if you're part of that, and you have filled out properly tab 1 and the RIS partner, tab 3 and tab 5, and the information's there, we will give you specific instructions and recommendations in the evaluation letter sent. Okay, so what we do is the innovation team will collect together all of those different RIS partners within Stream 1, and we will set up a specific CAVA. Okay, we're calling this the RIS Innovation Summary CAVA. Okay, each RIS partner from your projects will be taken out, okay, of the task, and we will give them, so in the summary, say we have 6 projects and 6 RIS partners. We will take those 6 RIS partners and we will create the RIS summary innovation. For each project, there will be an activity line linked to that specific partner that's part of that project, okay? And we will give you that linked ID of the CAVA and the activity line. You will then be sent an extract from the summary CAVA to make sure that this is correct. You then verify the information that we sent to you and your activity line. That's all that you need to touch. And finally, once that's done correctly, the lead applicant in the normal application will go in and remove and change the figures to 0000 and update their own original application CAVA, so that we will now have almost done like a split. Okay. It's a little strange that we have to do this, but you have to understand we have to allocate the risk cost to a different cost center. And using the tools we have, the easiest way to do that is that we behave as normal, then we split them off, we put them in a summary CAVA, giving each one a separate activity per project. And so we can track each activity, and that you, from one project about walkability, are not going to be held accountable for any deliverables linked to another project about energy saving, which will have a different activity line and a different budget. Okay, so it's a summary CAVA, which is our workaround behind. So you don't need to, we'll explain it a little bit more, but you just have to understand that this requires some work from our part to try and make the integration happen. Okay, so next slide. This is how it's going to look. Okay, so in May, all innovation CAVA include the information on the RIS partners in the tabs, specifically tab 3 and tab 5. For example, Walk Active, it's got 6 partners and 2 of them are RIS. Logitalk has 7 partners, none of them are RIS. Energy 2009 is 8 partners and 1 RIS. So what we do is these are the projects that are approved and will be moving forward. So in July, we go forward and we create the RIS mirrored CAVA. This is what we're calling the summary CAVA. The CAVA will have 1 CAVA ID number, okay? And the RIS partners are divided per task. So, for example, energy will have 1 task number, 1 RIS partner with their budget and their KPI associated. So the busiest tab will be tab 5. Okay, so tab 5 is going to be very important, and that's where all the information will be kept for this. This means with one press of a button, we can see all of the money being used, by whom, when, and we can give reports to Bensa on the success of his program and how his money's being used. Okay, so it's a workaround. Okay, you shouldn't have to be bothered. We, as the innovation headquarters, we will do all of the setup and we will send you the extract so you can approve what we've put in and verify that. And then once that's done, the normal walk activity, energy project activity lead can go in and delete the financial figures to allow you to meet your 30% co-financing and to meet the limits of the budget allocated initially. Okay, this will enable links with the innovation project. So for example, the CAVA ID, the summary CAVA ID and activity number will be put into the main document for the project, so that they'll be able to refer to that and know that their linkage is there. Okay, so this is, I repeat, a workaround. Okay, questions, because we want you to know how we're doing it, but you shouldn't really be impacted by this. As far as you're concerned, it's one project, one monitoring review, one activity. But for us, we have to, behind the scenes, it's a bit like an iceberg. You see the top of an iceberg, but behind it, there's quite a bit of work that needs done. Okay, that's probably a negative comparison as an iceberg, but I think you get what I'm meaning here. So any questions on this and how we're going to manage that? Please, this is it's a detail, and we don't need to drown you with it, but you need to know what's happening. Okay. Any questions? No, I think we're okay so far. Okay, if they pop up, we'll get them. Next slide. So on the evaluation and selection process, it follows the innovation called proposals process. The director of RIS will be in the selection committee. Okay, so Ben's is going to sit in our selection committee, and he will be reviewing. We'll give him a specific extract of all the projects with the RIS partners, and he will be able to see what KPIs he's going to get for how much money. Okay, so he'll be able to make some important decisions there. The innovation report will have a specific section below on the RIS requests in total made and the success rate of those additional RIS requests. We need to understand in this pilot, in this workaround, has it been good for our organization and has it led to better success? When it comes to the joint review and monitoring, as far as you're concerned, you will have someone from risk management and innovation management in your quarterly reviews. We will handle it together. We will review the deliverables commonly, and we will importantly follow up on the KPI between the mirror project and that activity line with the specific EIT RIS KPI and the main KPIs. Okay, so for all intents and purposes, all you'll see is someone else sitting in your review with us. Okay, question. Does RIS specific KPI need to be described already in the initial proposal, or will they subsequently be agreed and elaborated in the summary? It should already be in the proposal. Okay, so in the main proposal that you submit in May, you should already have your RIS partner, their activity, their budget, and what RIS KPI they're offering. Okay, this means when we do that summary, we will then change that RIS KPI to 0 in the main document, and we'll have it in your summary CAVA next to your activity and your name. Okay, so it does need to be already up front. Okay, more questions?
There was one previously that you just
did I miss?
about does the co-funding 20% apply to core partners or experienced project partners from risk countries, or only to organisations that are brand new to the EIT Urban Mobility community? So
20% is across the board. Anyone who's qualifying as a risk partner, 20% is the suggested. Okay, and I think Ben's is going to highlight if someone wants to offer more than 20%, that's very well seen, but it's not essential. Okay, but 20% should be across.
Also, here applies that if you are coming from a risk country, but you are already co-partner, you doesn't count to the risks. So in that case, if you are co-partner coming from a risk country, it means that the 30% applies also for you.
So just to confirm then, that you're saying that if a partner is going in as a risk partner, that they're an existing core and they've been involved in the program, they have to follow the 30% rule.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, because they are not included in the risk, because if you are already co-partner, you are already part of the KIC, so you don't need the special risk support to be connected to our activities.
Okay, and so I think this is an important distinction in that core partners formally in the innovation call in stream 1 are not RIS. That's correct, isn't it, Bensa? Okay, so core partners in stream 1 are not RIS. Okay, that's a big difference. Bensa in the next section will explain a little bit different process for his twinning program. Okay, but for the innovation program, if you're a core partner, you are going in as a core partner. Okay, we are highlighting the bringing in of new partners in the innovation integration process. So stream 1, new partners coming in, new to the organization, getting the support and integrating. That's the priority in this one. Okay, more questions?
Not at the moment, Gareth.
Okay, now that's stream 1, which is innovation, incorporating and integrating RIS actors. Okay, so that's probably more likely to be 1 or 2 partners integrated in a project. Okay, fully normal from day 1, part of it, actively delivering perhaps services for other people. That's full integration. Okay. Clear about co-funding. What about the experienced project partners? If you have been a project partner from a RIS country before, that's the question, because in the new program, it's a new calendar year. Okay, it's a new, you know, the program partners is not a multi-annual thing. You have no, so someone who's been in a program in 2020, if they then apply and call for proposals 2022 and they're from Poland, they would be coming in as a RIS partner because they're not a core partner. Okay, so they would come in and they would go for the 20% and we would identify them. You know, project partners don't, it's not a rolling entitlement, it's each year. Okay, so it's a little bit different on RIS, but they would come in and they would be able to be identified as a RIS partner. Now, what's interesting is as quality assurance in the call, we will be reading all of the applications and we might recognize a partner that could be RIS. And we will note that down, okay? And we will maybe have it, if that proposal was to be successful and proposed to be on the business plan, we might want to have a chat with the lead coordinator and say, were you aware that this partner could have been classified? And should we classify them as that to be able to, you know, so we will have some discussions. But the most important thing is it's got to be stream 1 is the normal innovation process with 1 or 2 RIS actors incorporated from the start, playing full roles within a consortium. Stream 2 that we're going to look at is a different model, okay? The stream slide, can we go back to the stream slide and highlight the main differences, please? Okay, actually, I think it's better we let Bensa do his presentation on the innovation, the stream 2, which means we can then ask more specific questions of that stream, and then we can do that comparison, if that's okay. Yeah, Bensa, we'll hand over to you.
Yes, thank you very much. I hope also that after my presentation, it will be more clear what is the difference between the 2 streams. We would like to give you an extra opportunity to integrate RIS stakeholders, and because of that, we set up stream 2. What is the main difference? So if you are having some RIS partners, they are very welcome if you are integrating them into the project. But if you are having a bigger group of RIS partners, maybe it's already, let's say, 50% of the partners or 50% of the budget. In that case, I would say that maybe the risk call is better for you. If we are going to the next slide, Amma, please, so we can see that in the risk call there are some special rules. The risk calls are focusing on the non-EIT Urban Mobility partners, but also in the risk call you have the specialty to get core partners involved. We are trying to cover the whole knowledge triangle, of course, and we would like to have one member who is leading the consortia. In this case, if you are handing in a risk call, this lead partner should be non-kick partner, so it should be a new risk stakeholder. And the partnership should integrate 2 risk countries. So you should cover at least 2 countries. But as said, if you are having a larger task, or if you are having more partners, maybe it's more fitting your needs if you are starting a special risk innovation team for that. Just one more information that if you are working with risk countries, they are until now not covered by our risk hubs. You have a special bonus because, of course, for us it's very important to be present in all the countries and to be able to involve also from the countries where we don't have risk hubs until now, and we hope that our risk hubs can give you very valuable help to involve new partners. If you are going the other way, and if you are if you are having some partner, let's say from the Ukraine, where we don't have any risk hub, and the risk hub is not able to support you, it should have a special bonus, and we are very happy to involve these partners also into our projects. You will see that in the risk innovation there are 2 different ways to apply, and one is the risk innovation stream projects, and by the final portfolio decision we will prefer these streams because we think that it's a higher grade of integration working together. Of course, in case of if the projects are having the same quality, just in that case. If we are moving to the next slide, you will see that how is risk innovation set up. So we are having 1A, it's the risk innovation stream projects, and they are fully aligned with the innovation goal. So we are having the same focus areas like active mobility, future mobility, sustainable city logistics, and mobility and energy. And there is 1B. If you want to start a project focusing on a special risk need, in that case, you are not starting a twin project, but you are having the possibility to make a risk innovation project on your own, addressing the special risk need. If we are moving to the next slide, you will see that the risk innovation budget is the This innovation project should have a budget between 100 and 400,000 euro, and we are having suggested suggested EIT funding or co-financing. So the EIT funding can be 80%, can be more, can be less. You will see later on that it's just a suggested EIT funding. Of course, if it's less, you have to justify. If it's more, you are scoring higher because we would like to have projects with higher co-funding. The budget for RIS innovation overall is 1 million euro. It contains all the different constructions. So by the final decision, we have to take the decision which projects are preferred. And you can see that for the RIS innovation theme or the RIS innovation for special RIS needs, the setup of the consortium should be that you should cover 2 RIS countries, you should have 1 city, and you should have 2 industry companies. In addition to that, we are very happy if you can also include education or research organizations, and in special cases, the education and research organizations can also replace one of the industry companies, as written in the call. But we are more happy if you can include extra research and education organizations covering the whole knowledge triangle. If we are moving to our next slide, you will see that the RIS innovation things are administratively separated, but our aim is that you are having a RIS project, you are having an innovation project in the main call, and the RIS innovation team very much connected to that. So they are administratively separated, just to reflect on the special RIS needs and to give you special RIS conditions. But content-wise and the implementation, the 2 streams are working together. They are working on the same thematic, and they are working very close together. So let's say that you are making a special last mile drone delivery project in Amsterdam, and in the same time you are making it also in Bucharest, and you are piloting in both cities. It's a perfect kind of RIS innovation things. So you should be very close together, and you should implement it together. And if you are belonging to a main innovation project, you have to indicate it on tab 3 to know that you are belonging together, and we can also take this into account by the evaluation. By the evaluation process, the evaluation will be aligned. So we will have a joint selection committee, and we try to align the whole evaluation. Also, in case of review and monitoring, we are not planning to have a separate session. So there is innovation stream and the main innovation project should be monitored together, and all the progresses should be delivered together. And if in the RIS innovation team is a non-RIS partner, so say a co-partner or experienced project partner involved, it has to be a very strong justification, because in that case, your co-partners could be in the main project. So there can be a special case that justify this, but foreseen is that in case of RIS streams, you have the RIS partners in the RIS administration part, and your core project partners also, if coming from the RIS, they are in the main part, but it's just the administrative dividing the project, and as said, you should work together. And also multi-annual project should be possible. Let's take a look on the questions. Thanks for the clarification. A lead partner in the RIS call, the organization that is currently part of the EIT Urban Mobility RIS Hub in the RIS country. Yes. So if you are a RIS Hub or part of the RIS Hub, you are allowed, because in that case you are not a core partner. I think it's clear that if they are in the earlier year RIS sub-grantee, it doesn't mean that you are not RIS anymore. Just if you are already accessed the kick, and there is the difference. There is also other question. Expectation for the TRL solution product are the same. Yes, because they are working on the same issue. The TRL rate and the output should be the same, and should have the same level, same level. And there is also one more question regarding the RIS innovation for guideline, eligibility or admissibility check for the distribution. Yes, this 70% is again the budget of EIT Urban Mobility partners. Yes, so as we said, if you are core partner, it's irrelevant where you are coming. Are you coming from a RIS country or a non-RIS country? So your part of the budget should be accounted to the 30% core partner rate, and also independent from which country are you coming. So by core partners, there is no difference anymore. Are you coming from RIS countries or non-RIS countries? I hope that it's clear now, and we can move to the next slide. And in our next slide, I would highlight that we are having this suggested co-funding. We are having more soft conditions by the RIS than by the main call. And it means that we would like to have very similar co-funding. Not the same, not 30%, but we would like to have 20% at least. And if somebody is able to deliver higher co-funding, it's very much welcome, very much appreciated, and it's also positively evaluated. If somebody is not able to deliver this co-funding, because of that, we don't want to lose any of the good projects. But be aware that if you are offering a lower co-funding than 20%, in that case, you have to have a very strong justification, and you are scoring lower. We would suggest to have at least the 20% co-funding. By the sustainability, it's very, very important for us that you are delivering actions. They can run on long term. They can be continued. They can be scaled up, or they can have further impact in the next years. So it's very important to highlight how your project can be continued and what kind of impact can it have in the future. And also the income generation for EIT Urban Mobility is highlighted bold. It's not mandatory in the RIS, but if candidates generating income and they are financially sustainable on long term, it's a very important plus for us. If we are moving to the next slide, You can see that we will communicate our results as by the other streams or as by the other calls. So the lead applicant will be connected and they will get evaluation letter and they will get a summary evaluation report of the performance of the project. After the selection committee will have the final decision. It's called the portfolio decision because there are different factors you cannot have by the scoring, but of the experts. We would like to cover whole Europe, and we would like to have a very heterogeneous offer of projects, and because of that, we are trying to make a very a portfolio decision where we can accept these differences of the projects. Of course, if your project is selected, it will be included into the business plan, and it will part of the business plan of EIT Urban Mobility for the next year, for 2022. If we are moving to the next slide, I think, yes, I would like to highlight to having the advantages to have a RIS stream. So one of the advantages that you can have an increased budget because there is a separate budget for the RIS. It can be important because this increased budget can it make possible that the RIS partners are having an additional task, and maybe your project will be more complete through that. And it's also important that the RIS partners are focusing on a different task, delivering it. Also the RIS KPIs can be addressed. By the RIS stakeholders, we have the possibility for more flexibility. RIS cities can be also involved. And if you are having some RIS cities, or at least one, but maybe you can also have two in your RIS stream, in that case, your main project can have less cities. So all in all, you have to have 3 cities, but it can be some of them can be delivered also from the RIS region. The RIS participants should be fully integrated. So this separation, having a RIS stream, is an administrative separation, but of course, working together, it should be the same also in the integrated model and the RIS stream model. And there is also a new question, EIT Urban Mobility Partners. Yes, so the question is addressing again the 30%. So the core partners, the sum of the part of the core partners in the project can be 30%. Independent from where the core partners are coming, they are included in the 30%. Also, if they are coming from a RIS country, it was the question. And I think it was my last slide highlighting the advantages to have a RIS stream. But I'm very happy to get your questions and to answer that. Just to make it clear, because it seems to be very focused that if you are having co-partners from all the countries, they are included in the 30% of the co-partner part of the budget, and especially by the RIS streams, you shouldn't use, also if you have the possibility, but you should give more room for RIS stakeholders, and because of that, in that case, you should more include your co-partners in the main project, and just more the RIS partners should be involved in the RIS project. Thank you very much for your attention. If there are further questions, I'm happy to answer them.
No, oh, hold on, sorry. We have another question, which I will post for you.
Seems to be the same question again, with the 30%. I hope that it's clear now that the new stakeholders who are accessing are in the 70%, and all the core partners are in the 30%. Yes, it's something new, and it's a very good question. Thank you very much. So core partners can receive funding in the RIS call. Yes. Also core partners coming from Germany are allowed, or also core partners coming from Hungary are allowed in the RIS, but you need to have a justification how you are working together, which competencies you are adding to the project. But let's say if you are setting up bike sharing system in Bucharest, for example, and you have a very good partner in Netherlands focusing on bicycle and bike sharing, so you can involve them. Because on that way you are working more close with core partner together, and you are having special competencies. So you just have to take care of, course, the company or the NGO from Netherlands shouldn't have too much budget. Because we are doing in the RIS projects, we are always doing something for the sake of the RIS countries and for the sake of the RIS beneficiaries. So if the core partner is working on something that is implemented and for the RIS country, in that case, they can be involved and they can deliver the competencies and they can support the RIS partners.
Thank you. There's no more questions at the minute.
I think it will be one of the positive, or maybe there will be a lot of positive changes by Horizon Europe. But going to the cascading system, it means that on long term, everybody will be sub-grantee of EIT Urban Mobility. Also the non-partners coming from the RIS and also the partners, and we are hoping that this way can make us easier to mingle the core and non-core partners with each other. It's not clear EIT core partner from this country, Turkey, will be considered as RIS partner and into the 70 or the 30%. So, for example, if I'm right, Istanbul, city of Istanbul is a co-partner for of EIT Urban Mobility in the Turkey. So the budget of the city of Istanbul, because if I'm right and they are co-partner, should be included in the 30% and not in the 70%. Question: co-partners participation in the RIS call should have 20 or 30% co-funding. I would say it's up to you. So we are examining the co-funding on project level. So the internal distribution, who is delivering how much and how much is delivered by the other partner is not really concerning us. So in that case, it's up to the partners what is the distribution of the co-funding. You are a co-partner from Spain. How do I reach RIS partners? There are different ways. If you know from which country you would like to have special co-partners, you can contact our RIS hub, and I'm happy to connect you and to give you all the data to the RIS hubs. But normally it's not the case. Normally you are looking for somebody with a special competence. In that case, maybe you can contact your innovation hub, what kind of stakeholders they have in their site, and what kind of stakeholders they can suggest you, because they are having a better overview. And we are discussing also with the innovation hubs. Maybe the most useful and efficient way could be that you can go to B2Match, and you can also introduce your project, and you can introduce what kind of partners are you looking. Because on the other hand, from the RIS countries, the partners are having also difficulties to find the co-partners, and because of that, we set up B2Match, and also the connection possibilities on B2Match, and also the presentation possibilities. So we also suggesting the RIS partners or RIS stakeholders to present themselves on B2Match. Maybe you can go there and take a look on the RIS partners or RIS stakeholders who are presenting themselves, what kind of offer we have there. But on the other hand, you have also the opportunity to start a search and to present yourself, and to present to what kind of project you are looking the RIS partner. We are hoping that B2Match could be a good forum for that. And we are also very happy to get your feedback or how far it was working, and what can we also improve for the next year regarding the matchmaking.
So there are no more questions at the moment. So if you'd like to wrap up, Spencer and Gareth.
So thank you very much. Yeah, please go on, Gareth.
No, I'd like to say, so we repeat that there is a difference, okay? So stream 1, you're fully integrated in the innovation call, okay? Stream 1, you're fully integrated. It's for 1 or 2 RIS partners that choose to be fully integrated in a call from its start, with identified target 60 to 80,000 budget, and we'll do the magic behind the scenes to split it off and manage it, okay? That's the integration, stream 1 in innovation. Stream 2 is if you have a bigger group of partners, as Spencer highlighted. So you have to have multiple groups of partners with a city minimum, and you're wanting to link and have a sort of a twin to existing projects that are already being funded through the program, or new submissions, okay? That's very different, okay? So a cluster of people would go for the RIS innovation call within the RIS twinning program. If it's 1 or 2 partners that are just integrated in the normal innovation process, that would be done through stream 1, according to the innovation rules, okay? So that's from my side, to quick recap on the differences there. From Emma, any more questions that have came in while we've been chatting just before we close? Are we still?
Yes, we just had one come in about, I'll read it to you. So RIS with special needs can apply with a project concerning for example, water quality improvement, or should it refer to the 4 main mobility programs?
So
for you.
in special needs, it's quite obvious that you are not focusing on the 4 main mobility or main innovation focus areas because it's different. So you have to cover a special need. So I don't know that water quality improvement, or far is it connected with urban mobility. So I have my questions there. But maybe I just not aware what is the project planning. But we are focusing also by the special needs, of course, on urban mobility, but not just on the 4 focus areas as described by the RIS streams or by innovation. So it's a bit more broad. But it has to be have a connection, a strong connection with urban mobility and with making our cities more livable. I'm not seeing that by the water quality improvement, but maybe I'm missing the point now. There is also one more question. Member can raise RIS fund in both streams. Yes, if there are some overlaps, it's allowed, of course, not for the same goal. So if you are getting some funding in the integrated innovation, for example, in a, I don't know, in a parking system project, or it's not part, or maybe in a drone project for future mobility, and you are also applying for this education. It's possible to be to get funding from that. If you are for both streams, both innovation streams, RIS innovation streams, and the main innovation project, I don't see why would it be useful. So if you are deciding to have an integrated model, you are anyway integrated. If you are deciding for stream 2 and you say, okay, I have 2 parallel projects, at least administratively, and there is a RIS project and there is a main project. In that case, your partners should be in the main project and your RIS stakeholders in the RIS project. So I don't see, if you are asking innovation streams and the 2 presented streams, I don't see the reason why it should be in both in the same time.
So Ben's, just clarification on that question. The person who asked the question has done that because in the initial slides, it was stated that it's not possible to allocate RIS funds to members.
It's possible if they are working for the RIS country and for the RIS project part. It's possible, but if you are having the innovation streams and there are 2 projects, it's very much favored that the co-partners are in the main project and the RIS stakeholders are in the RIS part of the project.
No further questions at this stage.
Okay, so this is complicated, people. So just remember, there is stream 1 or 2 partners in a normal project, and stream 2, which has a grouping of people with different rule sets and in different ways that even core partners could participate, but the bulk of the work in that has to be in beneficiary countries for their use and be justified. So You need to think these through. You need to make those calls. Okay, so the slide deck will be available. We look forward, and as he said, it's a pilot of what we're trying to do in the full integration stream 1. It may work, it may not work. We'll find out, and we'll see, and hopefully we'll be able to find ways that we can improve access. Okay, thank you, Bensa, for today. Thank you for Emma for
Thank you very much for the possibility.
Questions, and we will speak to you and look forward to your wonderful proposals in the next month. Bye-bye. Ciao.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.